What's going on, YouTube world and YouTube tribe? Welcome to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you another review for Supergirl. As the title says, Supergirl episode, I want to say, I think this is episode 5. Yeah, episode 5 called Prom Night. But first thing first is I can hit that like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification button. Also, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Supergirl episode 5. Also, if you could do me a huge favor, and those who are not subscribed, because YouTube tells me you're not subscribed. I see the analytics, I see the algorithm, I see it all. The tribal chief is getting upset. The tribal chief, you're not acknowledging me. They're not acknowledging me, Paul. I don't know what's going on, Paul, but they're not acknowledging me. So I need y'all to acknowledge me and hit that subscribe button. Only if you want to. Those who are not subscribed, because what are you waiting for? I am the highest new gaming channel around. I do unboxings. I got an unboxing coming for you soon. I do unboxings. I do reviews. I do all type. I do reviews. I do reactions. I do it all. I do it all. Retro gameplay. I do it all. Do it all, baby. Those who are subscribed, thank you, love you, appreciate you for being a subscriber, being part of the tribe. I love you guys so much. Without you guys, I'm just talking to myself, to the camera, and just making YouTube videos, and nobody's watching them, right? But with that being said, we got a goal of 1,200. That's we need to smash that subscribe button to get to that goal of 1,200. But with all that being said, along with the intro, I'm so sorry. Let's get into it. Prom Night. You know how I like to do it. I like to give y'all a synopsis. Nina and Brainy attempts to save Supergirl from the Phantom Zone by time traveling back to Kara's hometown in 2009. A young reporter named Kat Grant sets her sights on Midville as she suspects there is a big story in the small town. Now, what I forgot to mention, there was no Flash this week. I think it'll be on, I think next week, the 4th. I want to say I think next Tuesday. I'm trying to, let me see what next Tuesday is. Next Tuesday, yeah, it's the 4th. The Flash didn't come, the new episode of the Flash didn't come on this week, but we will be getting a new episode of the Flash next week. This episode, Prom Night, is actually a 2-parter. Because the next episode is called Prom Again. But yeah, this episode is a 2-parter. So this is technically like I would say this is like part 1. But yeah, let's break it down to what this episode is about. Supergirl is still trapped in the Phantom Zone, and this episode, just like sometimes we did with the Flash, this episode focused on Nina and Brainy heavily. Now, Kara and we do see Karen, Alex, and we do see John and them, but this episode mainly deal with Nina and Brainy interacting with the past, Kara and Nina and things. And we found out this actually a little bit crisis related, because we found out now for Supergirl what changed on Supergirl's Earth thanks to Crisis. So one of the things is, if you remember, Supergirl had a boyfriend when she was when back in that time, and he died. He died because he got involved with, I think, was like drugs, and he got involved in this big drug ring, and the police accidentally killed him or something like that. And you know, John even brings this up because the beginning of the episode starts off with them formulating the plan. They realize, Dreamer, Nina interpreted her dreams and figured out that to save Supergirl, because they need a piece of her DNA to track in the Phantom Zone. So to save Supergirl, they need a piece of her DNA, and with the crystal that had her digital DNA now gone, they don't know no other time that they could get DNA, and then they remember, thanks to Dreamer, they remember why. They finally figured out why she was having those dreams, and it was that back in 2009, it was an event that happened where there was an asteroid, and Supergirl went and stopped the asteroid from, doing any serious damage or whatnot. But the asteroid had a piece of kryptonite. It had some, not a piece, a whole bunch of kryptonite. Not a lot, but it had some kryptonite. It had enough to, even though she was still able to use her super strength to break the asteroid, it was enough to where it let her have her strength, but also left her vulnerable to damage. And they realized that's what that's what Nina's dreams were saying. Because Alex remembered not thanks to Brainy. She was like, that's why you having those dreams, because Kara hurt herself during that incident, and that would be the perfect time to get a piece of her DNA. So they time travel with Brainy's stress eating and try to, learn how to cope with stuff when he gets upset or nervous. They realize that that's their best course of action. But Alex, she wanted to go because it was her past, so she knew how to operate. So she and John wanted to go, but Brainy informed her that the logical sense would be that Nina and himself go, because they have no effect on the timeline. They have no effect on the past, in interacting with their past selves, because there's no past version of them that interacts with the past versions of Kara and Kara and Alex. So he says that the only people who could go on this trip is those are the people. The only two people here is Nina and Brainy. So they decided that they were the best people to go. So they go back in time. But when they arrive back in time, of course, like in true superhero comic book fashion, everything doesn't go according to plan. The ship is damaged during the time travel, and they need a 3D printer and a couple of other pieces to fix it. So while Brainy, they oddly too dress up like they, it's odd to think about it now. 2009, I was 19 in 2009, just graduating high school, and it's funny to think that going back to 2009, they talk about it like it was 1999 or 1980. They had to try to figure out what to dress for that era, what the lingo was, so they won't be talking like, in a certain way where people like, what, who says that? Nobody says that. They try to, they reminded people that back in 2009 they said, what's up, all that type of stuff. But yeah, so they dress up like they thought they were supposed to be, but they realized that the prom, when they got there, the prom was in was a masquerade. I think it was a masquerade prom theme. It was some type of prom thing that they made their outfits the wrong outfits, and so they sitting there, they're trying to figure out what to do for the situation. Nearby, Kara, we see that 2009 Kara had, and her boyfriend, they've been going around saving people. And I forgot to mention too that I mentioned it a little bit, but when Alex, they had a newspaper from that time that sold something that shouldn't be there, and it was the luckiest town on earth, and they were talking about Midville, and Alex was telling John how how Kara and her boyfriend was going around saving people, saving cats, saving people from the well, cats, and all that type of stuff, and it became quite popular. And that's when John brought up that, wait a minute, you said, I forgot what the boyfriend's name was, but he was like, he died. Then I thought he died, because he fell into the wrong crowd with the drugs, that he was helping. I think it was a cricket coach or a teacher there who was running drugs, and he got caught up into it, which ultimately led to his untimely demise by the police. And Alex was like, "You're thinking of." She said, "You're thinking of the old world versus new world things." She said, "Before crisis, in our timeline, before crisis, that's what happened. And this new timeline now, this new Earth timeline, he never died. Instead of him dying and getting caught up in the drugs and stuff, he never died. Now, when we get to the past, we see that his life is very, very different. Now, instead of being caught up in drugs and getting killed by the police, he's in Norm with Supergirl. He knows Supergirl. He knows Kara is an alien. He knows about her powers, and he knows that because of that. Actually, I should say not know that, but because of that, he like helping her save people. It's like it had a big impact on him, and him and Kara even had plans to go to the same college, but Kara haven't told him that she didn't. I think she chose a different college, and she haven't gotten around to telling him that yet because she didn't want to break his heart. Which also means that in this new world now, in the present, since he never died, this kid is actually a grown man. He's actually a grown man now in this new world. He never died. But yeah, so they meet Kara and them actually run to Alex, who the young Alex, 2009 Alex, who stumbles upon the fact that they out there superheroing, and she forbids her to do it. And we see that it's an uncharacteristically hostile attitude coming from Alice. Like she's being too controlling. Like there's like a purpose to it. You know why she's being so stern and cold and controlling. So you know she's telling her, no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. And she actually hears like an asteroid or something crashing to Earth. So not the asteroid that they need her to go. They need her to get her DNA, but it was something else. I think it was actually just Brainy and them coming to the timeline, and they go check it out, and that's when they end up running into. That's where we see the scene like from the trailers when Brainy and Nina runs into young Alex, Kara, and the boyfriend, and they realize that they stumbled through a fake story about them, leaving a dying planet themselves, and they try to sympathize. They use that to sympathize with Supergirl and stuff. So Supergirl decides to help them, or Kara decides to help them, and they come up with. I think they call themselves Brenda and Brandon, or something like that. They call it Brenda and Brandon, and that they were aliens. They was mind reading aliens from a mind reading planet. But in the the car hits the cops, so they had to hide the spaceship. They hid it underground. While Brainy, they had to separate each other. So Brainy had to go stay with the boyfriend, while Nina get to sleep in with Kara and Alex. And also a dilemma for Nina is that her mother, as we all know, her mother in the current period of time, her mother is dead. And her mother, died before she got to teach her how to interpret and her dreams. She, even though she knows how to control one aspect of her powers, she doesn't know how to interpret her dreams. That's still like her weakness. That when she dreams stuff, she doesn't know what they mean. She doesn't know how to interpret them, and her mother never got the chance to teach her that. So the dilemma in this episode is, she knows she can't really interact with the past without changing it, but she desperately wants to hear her mother's voice and just get her guidance because she's doubting herself. She doesn't know how to control her dreams or interpret her dreams, and it's causing them to make mistakes. So she's getting to her throughout the episode. Brainy has some fun moments where he ended up getting to the Greek club. And then you find out he ended up waiting for the 3D printer to print out what he needs to fix the ship. He ended up being part of the Greek club and the baseball team and some other stuff. But there's also trouble looming, and there's some alien hunters who like to hunt people and bring them and put them hunt special people, like not just regular people, but they hunt special things to put in their little circus or a zoo or whatever it was. And we found out that they already tried to get Clark or Superman. So they accidentally stumbled upon the fact that they found another Kryptonian, which was Kara, and they tried. Their goal is to kidnap Kara and try to put her in their little circus. But that also goes around because not only do they want Kara now, they figured out, they know what Nina's true species is, and they know what Brainy's true species is. So they want not only Kara now, they want both Brainy and Nina. I'm jumping all over the place. Kara and Alex has a falling out about why she's being so overprotective, so stern, and we do find out why. And I think it's one of those old situations where Kara feels Alex feels resentment towards Kara for making her have to be always the one to come to help the mother out, because she was, at this point, Alex is in college, and she was supposed to be going to I think she was supposed to be going like to Paris, or she was supposed to be going to England, something like that. She was supposed to be going somewhere overseas. The one thing she wanted to do for herself, but she couldn't do it because her mother was so worried about Kara and what Kara was doing, that I guess I want to say Kara's mom forced Alex to abandon what she wanted to do to come watch over Kara, and that caused her resentment. Because Kara basically poked and prodded her to make her expose why she was so overprotective, and because she knew it was abnormal, like, you basically punishing me for something. And she realized it made Alex feel that she was kind of punishing her for the fact that because she got all these superpowers and stuff, she goes and she picks and chooses, she does this stuff to save it, when she realized that the reason why that article says the luckiest town on earth is because Supergirl is going around saving people. And she said, she's trying to tell Kara, yeah, I might have some resentment for you, but I'm also trying to teach you that what you're doing is exposing yourself and the family to the world potentially, because you're saving people. And she's trying to tell her that sometimes, like, it's almost like the Man of Steel movie where Jonathan is telling Clark that maybe you can't save everyone because it's going to expose you. And remember, like, the scene where young Clark was arguing with Jonathan about how he wasn't supposed to save those kids on the bus because now it accidentally exposed him to Lana and stuff like that. Lana saw him and he was like, what was I supposed to do, let them die? And Jonathan was like, I don't know, maybe. And he was saying that, and it was almost like that. She was telling Kara that that sometimes she might not, even though she can save somebody, maybe she shouldn't, so that it'll protect the secret and the family. And Kara was disgusted by the fact that Alex would suggest that she let people die just to protect her secret. Then they got to the argument even exploded to where Alex like, well, you're such, because she tried to tell Alex she said, while you're trying to be Mr. Mother Hen and Den Mother, I see more galaxies than you have. I see more galaxies and solar systems than you have dates. Than you have been on dates. And she was like, well, you're such mature that why haven't you told your boyfriend about the fact that you won't be going to the same college like y'all been planning to? And so that hurts Kara, and then Kara storms out and she's like, where you going? She said, I'm going to show you how mature I really can be. We find out that there's also been a timeline change. The hunters that's been hunting them, that want to put them in a little circus, they found out, Brainy found out that because of that, because of their interference with the timeline, I think the original timeline of this new Earth says that they was captured like so many weeks later in Costa Rica or something like that, and they found them. Clark tracked them down to Costa Rica and captured them, in the DEO database. But because of their interference, now I think it said that either they was never captured, or now it was even further down the line when they was captured, and I think they caused a little bit more damage than they're supposed to. So now Brandy and them mission not only involves them trying to get Kara's DNA to save future or present Kara from the Phantom Zone. Now is trying to restore the timeline, because they realized they was the ones who changed the timeline. That was a little touchy moment where Nia sings a song to Brandy, because she asked her, Brandy asked her, like, how did you cope back in 2009 when you was in school and stuff. She said she used to sing this song to herself. That was her favorite song. It was a little touchy little moment when she saw the song. They end up going to try to track down the aliens. They actually got a hit about where they was, and this is where it leads into the cliffhanger of part 1. The cliffhanger of part 1. But if I were to give this episode anything for a 2-parter episode, this is my first review for a 2-parter. If I give part 1 of this 2-part episode, I give it a 7.5 of big ups, because it was a decent episode. It wasn't all the way great, but I did love the exposition, the pacing, and I love the fact that we're dealing, even though it didn't have no Lex Luthor, no Supergirl, or anybody that that we're currently used to seeing on the show, because we did get to see Cat Grant. I forgot to mention that Cat Grant, she's basically there to get a scoop, thanks to Supergirl doing her Supergirl, we see that it drew the ire of Cat Grant. I'd like to throw that in there before I get in this episode, in this video, that Cat Grant's part was just that she was there to find out what's going on. We're going to see how that continues in part 2. But yeah, it was a great episode. I enjoyed Cat Grant, thus to figure out what's going on in Midville, the fact that she got compared to Lois Lane. I love the pacing, I love the character development, I love what they try to do with Nina and Brandy. And overall, I just love the old school story with Alex and Kara. And the fact that we get to see what, just like we've been seeing for Black Lightning and Flash, now we get to see for Supergirl what Crisis changed for her. But that's all I got. That's it. If y'all could hit this button right here, that take you to all of my, I want to say, reviews. I want to say rest of the reviews. All of my reviews for all of my TV shows that I have done so far. But if you hit this button right here, in this lower right corner right here, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that button to subscribe and be a part of the tribe. Or hit any one of these amazing videos for more of my amazing content. Chief out, rock on, guys. I got to get up to turn this camera off, but you're going to hear my voice for one more second saying peace.